The Judgements, Toastmaster Dhivya Srinivasan.
Judgment. We all live in the world of judges. Everything that you say and you don't, and everything that you do and you don't, gets judged. Do you think you're not being judgmental? Think again. Good evening, Contest Master and Toastmasters. We all know when others are wrong, but we seldom know our own faults. And I was no exception. I'm going to talk about an incident that made me realize how judgmental I can be and how happily I was unaware of it. Few years back, in one of the organizations that I worked for, we had a security. He was strange in a lot of ways. He never speaks a word beyond what is required, never smiles, and doesn't even smile back when you smile at him. He comes to office on time, has his lunch sharp at 1 p.m., leaves office at 6 p.m., come what may. He was like one of those VGP statue man, no expression whatsoever. Over a period of time, he was officially renamed as Robo Security. He was always a subject of fun and mockery during our lunchroom conversations. A couple of months passed by, and it was all fine till we had few stray requirements for him to stay late at office or to come early to office. He always said no without any explanation. It irritated us. After all, everyone has to be a little flexible, right? We got annoyed by his abrupt no's, no matter how important or exceptional the situation is. We thought enough is enough. We spoke to the agency, asked for the security to be replaced. The agency agreed. I was half hoping that at least after knowing he is about to be replaced, he would come forward and offer some explanation as to why he is like that. But he continued being unemotional and expressionless. Apparently, I had better things to do than trying to coexist with a robo. His contract was almost about to end. It was the last couple of days for him at work. It happened to be one of those Chennai Decembers when it was raining cats and dogs. The company that I worked for declared holiday on that specific day, but a bunch of us had few important things that we had to do at office and we had to go to work. I was not sure if the restaurants will be open due to the rain, so I offered to bring lunch for everyone from home. When I entered the office on that particular day, I saw the nonchalant security who had come to work in spite of heavy rains. For a second, I contemplated if I have to say thanks, but I decided against it, for I know he will be heedless to whatever I say. The first half of the day went by, and it was around 1:15 p.m. Surprisingly, I know the security who has lunch sharp at 1 p.m. has not had his lunch even till 1:15. I didn't see any sign of him having lunch. That is when I realized maybe he did not bring lunch from home, and because there are no restaurants open, he will not be able to buy one either. So I went to pantry. I brought some veg biryani from home. So I heated that and I decided to offer him. I was prepared to take a no without taking any offense. At least I'm trying. I went to his table. I put the plate of biryani ahead of him. He looked at me. For the first time, I saw some expression on his face. To my surprise, he even said, "Thank you, madam." Okay, the hunger has fed some sense into him, I thought. Fast forward, it was 5:45 in the evening. Our work seemed to get extended. We will easily need about an hour to complete the task before we could leave for the day. But now, who will go and ask the security to extend for an hour? After discussion amongst ourselves, the responsibility of persuading the security fell on my shoulders. With a lot of hesitation, I went to his desk, and even before I could utter a word, he said, "Madam, don't worry. I can wait till your work gets over." And I was stunned. I came back to my desk. I told all my colleagues that my biryani has made wonders in his brain, and he started acting like a human being. After our giggles, We wrapped up the work around 6:30, told the security to lock the office. He locked the office. It was still pouring outside. Some of them decided to leave nevertheless. I was skeptical because I had to go using a two-wheeler. Decided to wait a little longer for the rain to ease. So I saw the security was also waiting there on the other end, hoping the rain would stop. I thought while we were waiting, we'll engage in a short conversation. Hopefully he has not turned back into a robo. I asked him, where do you stay? He mentioned a place that was about 12 kilometers away from my office. I knew he came by cycle. I started feeling sorry for him. Maybe that's why he cannot come early and stay late. Now that he has answered my first question, I went ahead and asked my next question. Who is in your family? He said, my wife and 2 daughters. I was happy with the kind of progress that I was making. So I asked him the third question. So which school are your daughters going to? He looked at me with a blank expression and told me they do not go to school. Well, I thought maybe they were too young to go to school, and I further asked, how old are they? He said, the elder daughter is 16 years old and the younger one is 14 years old. I went into a fit of rage and judgment. In my mind, I thought, how unfair. Because they are girls, he must have stopped them from going to school. Even if he has no money, he should have put them in some government school. Knowing very well that I'm crossing my line, I asked him determinedly, you shouldn't have stopped them from going to school. This is not fair. He looked at me with an expression that I could not understand, and then he told me, no, madam, they could never go to school. They both were born with mental disabilities and they are bedridden. In fact, the reason I could never stay late or come early to work is because I have to help my wife to give them bath, dress them, and feed them. After I go back to home in the evening, I will take care of my daughters so that my wife can cook dinner for all of us. In the last 17 years, we have never attended any social events, has not gone anywhere away from home. Without waiting for my response, he left. 16-year and 14-year-old girls to be given bath, to be fed and taken care of. I can't imagine the kind of suffering that he must be going through. Here at office, we make silly jokes that he doesn't laugh and socialize. I froze, tears rolling down my eyes uncontrollably. I thought about all the mockery that we all had made. I felt small and unworthy. How quick and mean I was to judge. I stood there still, lost in thoughts, till I heard a loud roar of thunder. I stepped forward. It was still raining. I went ahead nonetheless, hoping the rain would wash me off all my judgments. Ladies and gentlemen, everybody's story is unique. I realize judging a person does not define who they are, but it defines who I am. Over to you, contest chair.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Dhivya, for a wonderful speech. Thank you for your support in helping us visible. So here I present to you all contestant number 6, Toastmaster Puneet. Toastmaster Puneet, contestant number 6.
Empathy is when you are able to put yourself in someone else's shoes and know what they are undergoing. Toastmaster Dhivya, with your touching speech and narration, you not only made me empathize, but also sympathize with what the security guard was undergoing. Toastmaster Dhivya, you are an intelligent speech crafter. You use the 3 T's of speech crafting to the best of your abilities. 3 T's involves tell them what you're going to tell them what you have just told them. Love the way in which you started off talking about judgment and how this big story of yours transformed, and in the end, you gave us a defining message that when you judge others, you are defining us. That was a job well done. And I also appreciate the fact that you use rhetorical devices and idioms, raining cats and dogs in Chennai, and even comparing the security guard to a robo. That was a good way of describing a person, and you did not went on to naming the character by itself. Now, you did really well when it comes to content aspect of the speech. Now, there are three kinds of speeches. One which you practiced, one which you delivered, and one which you wish you could have delivered. They say content is the king, delivery is the queen. Now, to help you enhance your delivery, here is one tip from my side. TIP, tempo, intonation, pause. You had a soothing voice throughout your speech, but remember, you have learned something phenomenal. You can enhance it, the impact of your speech, by focusing on these three: tempo, intonation, and delivery. To give you one example, the most defining moment of your speech was when you were conversing with the security guard, and that's when you came to know a lot about him. To quote one instance, let me read out. When you ask who is in your family, he replied, "What school is your daughter?" And when there was this frustration which was pouring out in your heart, when you realized that they are not going to the school, I would have wished you would have elevated your volume. How unfair! Because they are girls, they are not allowed to go. Pause, because pauses have power which words does not. Pauses also allow me to understand what you have said, and the beauty of pause is that what you say next has a lot more impact. That's when then you said, knowing very well, I crossed the line. See how I'm increasing my rate of speech to convey my anger. But then the security guard replied, "No, ma'am. Both were born with mental disabilities. After work, I have to feed them, cook them." See how I'm lowering my volume to bring out emotion. If you had done that, your speech would have been a lot more better and much more impactful. So to summarize your whole speech, I love the way in which you use 3 T's of storytelling technique. Tell them what you're going to tell them, tell them what you have just told them. Love the rhetorical devices as well. Just inculcate tempo, intonation, and pause, and you will be a speaker who will be judged here. Contest chair.